Today we're going to look at how to use our graphing calculator to help get some statistics from numbers. So in middle school you learned how to calculate all these things by hand, but now that you're in high school you're going to practice using your graphing calculator to help you get there. So let's take a look at an example. Example 1 says, shown below are the scores 5 students received on an algebra quiz. So somebody got a 75, an 82, a 67, a 93, and an 84. We are able to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range of this data. So to calculate the mean, remember the mean was just another word for average. So we're going to do the average of the data that's given to us. So we've got 75 plus 82 plus 67 plus 93 plus 84. You're going to add all those numbers up together, and then you're going to divide by how many numbers there are. So there are 5 numbers. So we're going to do 75 plus 82 plus 67 plus 93 plus 84. So that gives me 401. So I'm going to take 401 and divide it by 5. It's 80.2. So in this case, the average score on this quiz was an 80.2. The next one we worked on was the median, which is another word for the middle. But remember, in order to find the median, you have to put them in order from least to greatest. So the smallest number here is 67, then 75, then 82, 84, and 93. So working your way to the middle to find the median, you cross off from end to end. And your median here is 82. The mode is the most common number that you see, so it happens the most frequently. So in this case, there is no mode because there is no number that repeats. The range is the spread of your data, so how far apart are your data points. And so what you do is you take the highest number, I'm going to use the hashtag symbol for number, highest number minus lowest number. So we're going to take 93 minus 67. So the range of my data, when you take 93 minus 67, you get 26. So we've practiced these skills where we've used data to calculate measures of center, so mean, median, and mode. I'm going to show you how to do this on your calculator now, because there's a way where you can just input the numbers and then use your calculator to calculate some numbers for you instead of having to do it by hand. Okay, so make sure you have your graphing calculator out now. So when I look around the room, I should see you with a graphing calculator in your hand and you're typing these things in. So your graphing calculator can perform some of these functions. So to do this, you're going to take your graphing calculator and you're going to click Stat, which is right there by the left arrow key underneath delete, and you're going to click 1 for edit. So you're probably going to see something different on your screen than I see, but an easy way for us to all have the same screen, you move up to where it says L1 and you clear that out. You just hit clear and enter and it'll clear out that list. Do the same thing if you have anything in L2 or L3, just move up, clear, and enter. Now in L1, what we're going to do is just list our numbers from the top of our paper for the 5 scores that we had. So the 5 scores that we had were 75, 82, 67, 93, and 84. So make sure you enter those into your calculator like you see how I did it. Once that's entered, you're going to use your calculator and you're going to hit Stat again. And you're going to arrow over to the right to where it says Calc, and you're going to choose one variable statistics. So I'm going to hit Stat, arrow over to the right where it says Calculator, and I'm going to choose one variable statistics there, right there in the top, and hit Enter. Here you're going to hit Enter through the screens. You're going to hit Enter twice, once, twice, and then a third time. And it's going to calculate some values for you. So if you flip over your notes, this is the screen you should see on your calculator. And this is what I am seeing. And then if you scroll down, you can get some more options when you scroll down. Okay, so let's write down some of these numbers. Let's first identify what each of these things mean. So if you take a look, there's different symbols here. And some of these numbers look familiar, so I'm going to flip back and forth from our notes that we took a little bit earlier today. That 80.2 looks awfully familiar, and if I look back on the front of our notes, we got 80.2 when we found the mean. So that X bar symbol, that just gives you the mean or average, and that did it for you. And in this case, it was 80.2. The next number that's important that we saw is 401. I remember when I was adding my numbers together, that's when I got 401. So this symbol, sigma x, means the sum of all the data. And that was 401. Looking down the list, these are not numbers that I'm familiar with seeing, so I'm going to skip these ones. These are different numbers. You'll learn it later in a different class. But n equals 5. Well, 5 seems familiar. 5 was the number of data points that we had. So n is just your number of data points. And there were 5 of them, because there were 5 quiz scores. Scrolling down on your calculator or looking on your notes, you can see here the rest of the screen that we see. And now they're listing some other numbers here. We have min x. So that word min really just stands for minimum. And minimum, again, means the smallest or lowest number. So in our problem, the minimum score was a 67. I'm going to skip Q1 and Q3 for a second. I'm going to look at MED, because that number looks familiar. When we did our notes, I'm going to flip over to the front. 82 was the median. So I'm guessing MED stands for the median, or the middle number. And then the last word I think we can find really quickly is max, and that stands for exactly what it sounds like, the maximum, the highest number. And in this case, the maximum number was a 93. Q1 and Q3 are different terms. I'm going to tell you what they mean. The Q1 stands for first quartile or lower, and Q2 or Q3 stands for the third quartile or upper. And those numbers that based on the calculator were 71 and 88.5. We're going to learn about those next week when we get into histograms, or excuse me, box and whisker plots. But for now, we just want to look at the numbers that we've studied so far. So the calculator can give us the mean, it can give us the median, it can also tell you the min and the max, which helps us with the range. Notice though, we don't have the mode. There is no symbol for the mode. And there wasn't a symbol either for the range. They did give us the highest and the lowest, but we'd have to still use those to calculate what the range is. So here's how you can use your graphing calculator to get the mean, median, and mode for any set of data as long as you enter it in correctly. So for today, I would like you to practice entering into these onto your calculator and get some practice using the calculator on this skill. Good luck.